whether you want to be or not, just by you posting it, it's like, oh shit, right? That's the cool part. You're letting people decide what they're deciding on before you even post it because they've already made up their minds.
Hey Tristan, welcome back.
This month, let's make it super easy.
Started doing what we're doing.
YouTube shorts, short videos aren't going anywhere. Duets, influencing, great. But the storytelling piece, I mean, that is what, that honestly, that's why I tuned into Jeff's stuff. I want to hear his take on it. I'm like, okay, is Jeff going to be like controversial this time? What's he going to post? I want to know what his take is on it.
Well, I'm not even trying to be controversial. It's just people are so opinionated. Like, if they disagree with me, I'm just wrong, right?
The fact that you bring up shit is controversial because you have to think how people are looking at it. They're looking at it with their minds already made up. So whether you want to be or not, just by you posting it, it's like, oh shit, right? That's the cool part. You're letting people decide what they're deciding on before you even post it because they've already made up their minds. That's part of storytelling. You're doing a great job there. So with storytelling, I think you grabbing a piece of content and then telling a story behind it, I think that's key. Like you really engaged me with the post about the boat that crashed into the side of a house, right? And you're telling a story there. So take me through that and then explain to me how we can do that locally.
Well, I would call that, I don't know if I would call that storytelling. Maybe it is to a degree. It's the funny thing is I don't know if you want to call it a mistake or a mistake that worked out really well. But the way I introed the first one, so I did 3 updates on that one. But the original one that I did, I was about 24 hours late. And I said, I led in the video with, I guess I need to talk about this. And people jumped all over me. Like, why do you need to talk about that? Who the hell are you that you need to talk about this? Like, and so I guess it worked. I didn't mean for that, by the way. That was just me freaking spitballing. But I think, so I started with, here's my opinion. That's what it was, Tristan. It was an opinion. And I think that's what becomes very pulverizing. And I guess it became a story in the sense of, here's my opinion on my experience on driving a boat at night on a lake. And here's what I say you should do. This is my opinion. And of course, anybody who agreed jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody who disagreed told me I was an idiot and crucified me. So I don't know if it's also jumping on a hot topic while it's still fresh. I talk about newsjacking and then what I did, Tristan, was I then followed it up with, I'm watching this news aggregator every day and they had an update. Okay, there was an update. I have a few more details. So I came out and said, here's the funny thing is, Tristan, and this is what I want our listeners to really pay attention to. Every one of my 44,000 followers has the same access to the same news sources that I do. I don't have anything proprietary, but yet my followers are commenting saying, thanks for the update, Jeff. Thanks for sharing that with us. And I'm thinking to myself, you could have just gone and read it yourself. But it just reminds me that there's so much opportunity.
Yeah, man. Well, I think that's what sets you apart. The interpretation here, I think so people understand what storytelling is. And this is why I love that you said, well, am I truly telling a story? You are. It's your interpretation of something that happened.
Okay. Yeah.
And I love that because if you're now training me, right? Because I've watched you grow this cool thing. And now I'm involved. I'm like, oh shit, what's he talking about next? You now have trained me to watch and be like, oh, cool. I want to know what his take on this is. And that is storytelling. Because if you look at Casey Neistat does the same thing, like who cares who this guy is? But I care, right? Yeah. So now I think this is where we as a business need to start looking at and saying, well, that makes everything a possible story. If I could just think of it in a niche.